Welcome to the April 2023 meeting of the Residents' Council. I'm now calling the meeting to order. Thank you all for being here, and if I could ask Nancy Miller to come up and give our invocation.
Good afternoon. I wonder how many of you know that April is Volunteer Month, National Volunteer Month. In fact, it's Global Volunteer Month. And most of you are here because you probably have volunteered either as a hall representative or a committee head. There are many of those also who help out with this new store that's opened, as well as the Cedar Chest and just all the many committees and little things we do to help our fellow man. You know, some of us accompany them to doctor's appointments or just go and visit. Anyway, I came across a poem that reminded me so much of myself. It's called, I Said Yes. I said yes again, and I couldn't believe my ears. Yes, I said yes again. I'm one of those chronic volunteers. They asked me for my help, and I thought, who has the time? The phone calls and those meetings, just for fun and not a dime. So I thought it over. Do I want to give or take? I enjoy it all so much. The decision was easy to make. I've loved every single minute of working with the gals. Even when the hour was late, it was always with my pals. So please don't try and tell me volunteering is a pain, 'cause for all the friends I've made and all I've learned, I'll say yes, 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 again and again. So. All right, let us pray, please. Oh Lord, since without you we cannot do any good thing, may your Spirit make us wise, may your Spirit guide us, renew us, strengthen us, so that we will be strong in faith, discerning in proclamation, courageous in witness, and persistent in good deeds. Please enlighten our minds with truth, inflame our will with courage, and enrich our lives with service. Amen.
I learned a song in high school from the play Oklahoma. I'm just a gal who can't say no. I think a lot of us in that room have this problem. Would you all take just a minute and silence all of your electronic devices, please? And then if I could ask Jeff Hagan to come up and share some information with us.
Good afternoon. I had lunch today with a lovely couple. And he's the type of gentleman who likes to be busy. He likes to get involved in things and do things. But he's going to wait a little while. And as soon as he said that, his wife said, and I told him he has to sit on his hands for 6 months. No volunteering for 6 months. So. But he'll be involved at some point in time. Likes to volunteer, so that'll be great. Some updates for you on what's happening around campus. The big one is still looking for an executive director. We do have an interview coming up next week with the search committee, as well as the department directors meeting with the person to go through that. Hopefully it'll be a positive meeting, and we'll be able to let you know at some point in time what the outcome of that was and what the next steps might be. With that thought, my last day here will be May 26th. When I talked to Dan last December, we talked about the opportunity, and I said, Dan, at this point, I can give you 3 months. I might be able to give you 4 months, and now I'm into the 5th month. So, not that I feel like I've overstayed my welcome, but I've overstayed my welcome for a little bit. But it's been fun. It's been very enjoyable for my wife and I to be here, and I'm just glad I had the opportunity to work with all you folks, as well as the leadership team and Pinnacle Living as well, to do this. Another thing important coming up, Monday at 3 o'clock, the town hall meeting. The main topic of that meeting is the budget for next year. At that point, you'll also hear what the rate increases will be for all levels of care, as well as entrance fees. So I'm sure this room will be packed from front to back and side to side, but also be live streamed as well. So if you want to stay at home and throw things at the TV, you can do that as well. The good news is it's not as bad as what I thought it might be, but it's not as good as I'm sure what you're hoping for. But just keep in mind what's happening in the economy nowadays, that things are all costing more. So do that. Coming in June or July, right now we're thinking July timeframe. Some of the new assisted living apartments will be coming online. There'll be 25 new apartments over there. The impact that will have is we know we have residents in independent living who are waiting to move to assisted living or need to move to assisted living, and we'll be coaching some of those folks that it's time to make the move to the continuum. The challenge that we'll put on our maintenance team is typically we turn over 3 apartments a month on average, 36 a year. When this happens in July, we'll up that to 6 a month. So we'll do 3 normal turns plus the 3 new churns of people moving from IL to AL. The challenge from there will be the team to keep up with all those deals. So there may be some different faces around campus as you look at maybe bringing in some extra contractors to keep up with the turns. It may happen quicker than that too. We may have people who decide to move into assisted living much quicker, and so we may actually have more than 6 a month. So there'll be a lot of activity over there to do that. Back up one more step, that's going to put extra workload on Emily and her team as they look at trying to backfill all these independent apartments that will open up as well. A little clue of what you'll hear on Monday at the budget, they're going to talk about occupancy for next year in independent living. When we do all these additional churns, it's going to open up more apartments than normal. So our average occupancy will take a little bit of a dive for a few months next year. When you see those numbers, don't panic. It's planned into the budget that that's going to happen because of these additional people moving from independent to assisted. But it'll get back up to where it should be by the end of the year, and everything will be fine. We've had some questions about COVID vaccine, COVID booster, whatever we can maybe do or don't do on campus. I talked to Ann Hopper this morning. Logistically, they're trying to decide what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. So I do not have an answer for you today on that, but we'll keep you informed as best we can. A lot will depend on what the need really is. A lot of people I know here have already gone and gotten the boosters, and so they may not need to do much of a clinic here. But if we can do something, we'll look at doing it. But again, Ann and her team are working on that to do that as well. Last thing I want to talk about is everybody has heard of the Innovation Fund? Yep, okay. May 1st is the immediate deadline to get that information into us. That doesn't mean it's a drop dead date. It's just a date we want to put out for people to give a sense of urgency on what this program is and get the applications in so we can get this process going forward. For those of you who don't remember, we had a resident who donated some money. They agreed to match up to $100,000 to get this fund going. So this person made a donation of $50,000, and we have matches up to $100,000. So actually we have $110,000 now, don't we? Actually, we had somebody else actually give extra money, so we have $110,000 in this fund. The idea is to provide unrestricted funds to extend the budget for new programs, projects, and amenities that will improve your life as well as our team members as well. Want to harness the creative energies of residents to identify new ideas, inspire other donors to continue to fund this in the future. This is one of those funds we really hope just starts as a feeder kind of a deal for this type of money, that people can see how their donations can be utilized across the campus for residents as well as team members. It's one of those things that if people see somebody else doing it, they want to help as well. So we hope this fund will continue to grow in the future. And just as a real quick, remember how it works. We're looking for you as well as team members to come up with ideas. Really looking for ideas that help bring team members and residents together in some type of collaborative exercise or collaborative project. So we're looking for, if you come up with an idea, you can meet with your council committee or team members and just get the idea kind of out on paper. Give a kind of a quick research, what you can find out, how much it costs, what the best way to implement it, so when we have the chance to look at the application, we can get a sense of what's involved in that kind of project. Fill out the application, submit it by May 1st, or May 2nd, or May 3rd, or 4th, but sometime in the near future to get it to us so we can do that. The application will be judged by a panel of residents looking for the following kind of key points. Does it provide collaboration between team members and residents? Are they supported by wellness or pathways to wellness program? It cannot include staff. It can't include salaries. So an additional staff member would be an ongoing expense, and that would be a budgeted item to deal with in the future. If you look at the project you want to propose, think about it from a likelihood to succeed. You want to have projects that are going to have a good chance of being a good success for us. And if there's a way to measure how the outcome can become clear. An example is working with Tamika and her team. They're looking at a thing called the iStat, which is a kind of an instant blood analyzer to help us determine if a resident should be sent out to an emergency room or if we can take care of that resident in-house. If we can do a quick analysis of your blood and determine that what you have going on is of no major concern, we can save a trip to the ER, which we all know is going to be very traumatic. That's one thing to think about from outcomes, how that can be managed. We look at that as a great opportunity for you as residents and team members to really make a difference outside the budget process, to help bring different things, bring different projects, different pieces of equipment to the community that can really help us going forward too. So, that's all I have. Any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
I actually have a question. What is the status of the Medicare beds?
What is the status of the Medicare beds? We are waiting for the all-important number from CMS so we can actually finalize all the paperwork and all the application that goes along with that. And as soon as we get that, that means then they can come in and do their survey. Once they do the survey, then we can get certified. We are hopeful that we get something soon. Kevin Salminan just talked at the Finance Committee the other day. He submitted a lot of paperwork back in October of last year, and so it's a matter of working through the system. So I wish I could give you some more specifics, but we are just sitting on the edge of our seat waiting for this to happen as well. In the meantime, Lacey and his team, Tamika and her team, are maintaining everything at survey level. So when they do come in, we'll pass the survey quickly and be able to get certified and move on. We like to think, because of the program being a Medicare program, and from a crazy sense, if you think from CMS's viewpoint, if we're a Medicare certified community, there's the potential they can make money if they can come in and find things we're not doing right that they can find us for. So sometimes they want to get us certified quicker with the idea that maybe they can make some money off of us, but we'll see if that happens or not too. Kind of a twisted way of looking at it, I realize, but try to get the best you can out of it. So, but we're excited about doing it because we actually, you'll hear on Monday in our budget for next year, we have a large addition to our revenue source, which will include Medicare reimbursement. So we want to get this thing done as quick as you do as well. From that perspective, but also from the perspective of if you need to go to the hospital and need to come back for therapy, you want to go to a place that's Medicare certified, that's going to be covered by Medicare as opposed to private pay. So we want to make sure we can get this thing done as quick as we can and as quickly, as efficiently as we can too. Thanks for the question though. Other questions? Thoughts? I'll be sitting up front for most of the meeting and enjoy. Thanks.
And I think most of us already knew that May 26th was your last day, but it's still sad news. We have enjoyed having you and Patty here with us. Denise Pakula, would you share with us what's happening at the shop at 2300?
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited about the shop at 2300. Thanks to the wonderful Cedarfield volunteers who helped, thanks to them for getting the shop ready for opening. We have been well received and are on our way to a huge success. We are currently open Monday through Friday from 10 to 3, and we are experimenting with a Saturday opening from 10 to 1. And it looks like Saturday is going to be an open day on a continuous basis. Let's see. I want to thank everybody, Cedarfield resident, who have come to the shop and made purchases, and to let you know that we are constantly getting new products in, and we do listen to your requests. We have a wish list and we keep it up, and as we can, we're adding new items to our shop. I don't know if you all have been down there or not recently, but we've gotten in some fun socks, really cute socks for men and women, and they're honestly flying out. I placed a new order yesterday, and I've got to place another order with them today, so thank you. Do any of you have questions of me? Thank you.
She says, "Uh-oh, you're going to ask me a question." No, I'm not going to ask you a question. But I want to just take a couple minutes. We met back in February, I think it was, talking about the shop and what to do. And the ladies all, the gentlemen all said, "Oh, we can do that by June or July." I said, "How about April 3rd? They looked at me and they said, they did April 3rd. They opened up the store. So thank you to you and your team for doing that. And by the way, socks are wonderful.
And I'm sure the shop would like more volunteers if there are any people in here who can't say no. Charlotte Bailey, would you come talk to us about Vacro?
Good afternoon. This is a short but interesting report. First of all, we have not had an April meeting because we're having our state spring VACRA meeting on Friday, April the 28th, 10 o'clock, Fellowship Hall, and it will be by Zoom. We hope all of our members will consider being there, please. Our speaker, the featured speaker, will be Jane Newell, President of the Richmond Metro League of Women Voters. She'll speak on the importance of voter registration and the coming fall election. We will have a regular meeting in May the 19th. The program is in cooperation with Resident Council and will feature a panel of some of the members who are on the Resident Council Finance Committee that's chaired by, of course, Carol Marco. They will discuss and answer your questions about Cedarfield and Pinnacle Living finances. If you have a question, and I'm sure you will, think about it. I'm sure you will have some questions for these folks. Please email the question to me or put a note in my in-house mailbox 233. And I need your questions by May 10th. Our membership now stands at 187. We hope it will continue to grow. We want everyone to have the opportunity to join and to understand what VACRA is all about. I have recently learned that some folks thought that we were a legislative body working outside of Cedarfield. We are neither. We are an educational and an informational organization, and our purpose, as you know, is to promote and protect our residents' interests. That interest certainly includes monitoring legislation. and following what happens in the General Assembly. We do that on our state level, and we have 2 of our Cedarfield members who are members of the state legislative committee. So we get the information, but our chapter does not go out and do legislation or work outside of Cedarfield. We're very pleased to announce to you that the Virginia State Corporation Commission has revised their website and complaint line. That wasn't working at all, and they told us they never get complaints. Wonder why? They're both now user-friendly, and this happened because of the discussions between the SCC, VACRA, and others. We count this as a great success, and we will be providing a fact sheet for our members just as soon as we can get it together. If you have any questions or comments, anybody? Okay. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the March 22 meeting?
So moved.
Motion accepted. Anybody second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Off to the library they go. They're probably already there. Since our last meeting, Terry Parsons unfortunately resigned. Thank you for being here today, Terry. She resigned as Secretary Treasurer. Some folks may not understand how much work is involved in the job of Secretary Treasurer. We hope you, Terry, are enjoying a much lighter schedule. That was the sad news. The great news is that Mary Ann Bagby, who was our Assistant Secretary Treasurer, stepped up and said yes, in accordance with the bylaws, she would step into the role as Secretary Treasurer. The bylaws say that she can assume the job in the absence of the Secretary Treasurer or if the office of Secretary Treasurer becomes vacant. So we had voted her in sometime recently, February, as the Assistant Secretary Treasurer. She's now been promoted. The great news about that is she only has to serve 1 year because her 1 year of learning how to do the job has flown by. The second piece of good news is that Beth Long has agreed to serve as the Assistant Secretary Treasurer, but we now need to elect her to that position. Do I hear a motion to elect Beth Long to the position of Assistant Secretary Treasurer for the remainder of the 2023-24 year?
So moved.
It has been moved. Do I hear a second? Moved and seconded. Please remember that the voting members of the council are one area rep from each area, all committee chairs, and the officers of the council. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Beth. You may step up to the front table. Thank you. We just heard Jeff talking about the innovation grants. All the area reps and all the committee chairs got information on it, and lots of buzz and even proposals are forthcoming. Don't stop working on your proposals just because the May 1-ish deadline is headed our way, because there will be other opportunities for your proposals to get moved forward. So keep those ideas coming. The Renovations Committee, which has about 8 residents on it, has met several times. We'll meet again on May 10th, and that will probably be its final meeting in terms of designing the furnishings for the town center, the gathering place, the chapel, the library, and the bathrooms near the town center. Thank you, Jeff, for giving substantive involvement by residents on this committee. We look forward to a much fresher entrance to the Cedarfield family home. The first area to be renovated will be the gathering place, because while the town center is being renovated, the gathering place will be where we will be coming and going from the front of Cedar Field until they get that work, and we expect that to start probably this summer. Many of you have submitted reports to me in response to my question last month about what do you like about Cedar Field, what can we as residents do without even involving administration, and what should the Residents' Council be working on. Some of the suggestions for Residents' Council to work on include some things that are either underway or already exist. For one thing, one person wanted the Cedar Chest to be open more than once a month. It already is. Phew, that was easy. Another person suggested improving the gift shop. Wow, wonderful ideas. It already is, as we just heard from Denise. And I can't wait to see more socks down there, like Jeff is modeling. Others want us to support marketing and integrate newcomers into our life here at Cedar Field. The welcoming committee of the Residents' Council, which is co-chaired by Nellie Keener and Ann Ward, do a wonderful job of meeting approximately monthly with new residents who have come in. But that doesn't stop every one of us who lives here at Cedar Field from seeing their photos on the bulletin board kind of outside the in-house mail room and stepping up and inviting them to join you for dinner, for a walk around campus, have a cup of coffee at the atrium. Do you know where the library is? All kinds of good things to get some folks involved. And 6 months is a nice time for people to put off volunteering, but most of them end up volunteering before that. One idea is that we communicate with the new executive director when that person comes on board and fill in institutional history. That will be fun to do with the person or persons. What can we do to improve Cedar Field without even involving the administration? I got one right before I came up here. I sat down outside the Office of Wellness and Leisure, and as I got up, I thought, ooh, that seat was wet. Somebody had sat in a seat in a bathing suit and left it for me to dry off. That was so sweet. So I would hope that we would learn not to sit in a seat in a wet bathing suit and leave it that way. One thing we could do is to remove our name. If we have signed up for an activity and then realize we can't do that activity today, notify whoever is doing the signing up, usually Wellness and Leisure, to take our names off the list. Most things have waiting lists, and then they could call somebody who's next on the list and open up a slot and make that fuller. Another thing we can do is check the list. If we've signed up to go to the ballet, the symphony, whatever, check to make sure that we're on the transportation list. I know one day the driver had warmed up a nice bus for us to go on, a vehicle to go on, and then there were people there they weren't expecting, so they had to take that bus back in the rain and come back with a nice icy cold bus for us to get into. Or the other night we went to the symphony in the great big bus, and I think they had to use that because other people had signed up but had not taken their name off. I know they're now charging us if we have signed up for transportation, but do not show they will charge us for that. But it would be nice to let other people take our spot. Look around and see if you see somebody that looks like they need a friend. Usually just a smile. Hi, I'm Ann Williams. We'll start a conversation and we could get people interested in it. What are some of the best things about living at Cedar Field? Besides the people, the team members and the residents, we like the safety and security of Cedar Field. We love the beautiful campus that we get to walk around and look at every day. We like to look at Channel 974, whether on our television, or most of us prefer to put it on our phone or other electronic device, find out what's happening at Cedar Field that day. This is the main way that Cedar Field communicates with us, is via Channel 974, the different touchdown channels, so please use it daily. One quick announcement I've been asked to make: if you're going to put a flyer in everybody's box, or even just several people's boxes, be sure to put your name and a contact number on there in case there's a question, so just not anonymous things going into boxes. Mary Ann Bagby and I will try to get the minutes out to you fairly quickly, but but Eleanor Moore is going to take off 2 days. She thinks today is Friday, so she's taking the next 2 days off for her weekend, and then she's taking the weekend beyond that. Well-deserved days off. Have fun at the World Fest. We will miss you, Eleanor, but look forward to seeing you back on Monday. Any questions of me? Then I would like to start with committee reports, and the committee reports, all the minutes will be attached to the meeting minutes, and so the committee chairs are asked to hit the main highlights of important things that they've done at their committee. And if I could start with the first committee. Which would be Vivian, right here on the front row, Vivian McCoskey. Thank you.
So nice to be invited, Ann. The Communications Committee met on April 10th, and one of the main activities was the reviewing the format for the questionnaire about sources of communication, where you get your information. You should all have received one of these. Actually, 462 were sent out to assisted living, cottages, and independent living apartment people. And that's a total of 462 questionnaires went out. So far, we've received 171 responses. Now, that gives you 2 more days to let us know what's good, what's bad, what's useful in terms of channels of communication here at Cedarfield. So if you haven't done so, please fill out that questionnaire. It's 1 page front and back, and easy to do. Let's see. Carol Nyman has been in charge of the subcommittee doing this survey, and she has done a wonderful job. And she's been assisted by Myra Nagel and Dolly Hintz. So you might want to mention to those people that you appreciate the time. It turns out, as so many things do, it's taking a lot more time than we anticipated. We have hundreds of written comments have come in already. And it's wonderful because it allows people to tell us in their own words what's working and what isn't working. But it's a lot of work for us to deal with. We're hoping that we will end up with knowing what means of communication people are relying on the most, and we hope to learn how communications within the community could be improved. Our next meeting is May 9th, and besides talking about a possible grant proposal, we will be discussing the results of the survey, and we'll keep you informed as we go forward. Just mention that Cedarfield Voices, the second issue, will be distributed shortly after the Garden Day. We hope you enjoy it, and a reminder that you are invited to contact any member of the editorial board with offers of contributing content or suggesting content that you would like to see. And so we look forward to hearing from you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. Ravi, Dining Committee.
Hello. First of all, before I get into the Dining Committee report, I just want to say a couple of words about David Stewart. As you know, he's retiring, and we're going to miss him. He's been here 26 years. I think he was a terrific dining director, and he's the kind of person, he says, when you ask him to do something, he'll say, well, we've tried that before, and it didn't work, but times have changed, and it's a good idea, let's try it again. So that's the kind of attitude he had. The responses were good. So, wish him all the best. And if you see him, wish him, because he has been a very good dining director, very innovative and very responsive. Going on to the report, the Four Seasons table has been well received. Thank you, Marion, AC. And it's about 6 or 7 people every day, the average. So it's going to be continued for the next 6 months, and then it'll be evaluated every month in between. The cafe menu, dining is proposing to change the menu in the cafe. And they're going to get together with Tanika and her team and come up with ideas. And maybe there'll be a cafe chef's special. Households, dining service, now the households, cooks are reporting to the dining services. So they've gone that last step. And so the meals are being prepared in the dining room, the dining kitchen, and the entrees are going into the households from the dining kitchen, and the desserts and I think the sides are prepared by the cooks in the household, if there is a cook, because there's turnover there also, which means the dining area might have to back it up. The food is hot, which was one of the biggest complaints from the households. So, and they're still figuring out each department's responsibilities. But if you have any experience, if you have a family member there and you have some experience in the household, please do let the dining staff know how that's working, how you think it's working. I unfortunately have some personal experience with my wife Margie being in memory care, and I can tell you that the food, I have lunch with her sometimes, and the food is very good. Beef prices have come down, and so you've noticed the tenderloin is on the menu every day, and if they go up again, that frequency could be adjusted. The point of sale system, these are the tablets that the waiters and waitresses walk around with. That's being put in the new system. The hardware is less expensive and it's more accurate. And there will be, unfortunately, a tag. Everybody's going to have to carry a tag to any meal. And each person will have one. And this will make sure that the charges are accurate. The tag will be under the direct control of the dining services. Prima, June 1st, the price for the guest meals will increase. Now this does not affect those 4 meals that every resident can use for guests if they haven't used it. That doesn't refer to that, but outside of that, it'll go up.
To what amount?
I don't know yet. That's June 1st. They haven't come up with that yet. So it'll be in the budget. They haven't announced that. Prima continues to be popular, and I think I said last time that the special dishes, 90% of the people are ordering those dishes. 90% of the people that are eating in Primo. So it is, and they'll continue the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We had a discussion about that, whether there should be, go on to Monday and Tuesday. And general feeling was, it's good as it is, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The Innovation Award, we discussed that, and we've set up a subcommittee to come up with ideas and how we might implement those. And we will write up the grants requests. That's all I have. Questions? No? Okay.
Environmental or recycling? Facilities, Susan Hutchison.
The Facilities Committee met on Tuesday, April 11. Prior to the meeting, the chairman requested that committee members review the agenda items totaling 15 projects and select the 4 projects they considered most critical to complete first. The results were as follows. I feel like I need to roll drums or something, but anyway, the first project that we felt and the members felt were most important was the wiring of D-Wing apartments so that everything is ready to hook up when the generator arrives. So I hope that will happen. 3 projects tied for second place in the survey. The exterior finishing system for the main building and the window replacement project was first. Renovation of town center, library, and the fellowship hall and gathering place were second in this group, and water on the lane was third. And finally, the elevator maintenance and future annual contracts for maintenance, quick response, and annual contracts is the next important project. I'm going to touch briefly on the status of these, considered most important for the engineering and maintenance department and Pinnacle management to focus on. First, the department continues to work with Henrico County in order to secure the final permits for the brick enclosure for the generator, and the construction manager is working on the bid packages for the actual construction of the enclosure. In my February report, I noted that James River Exteriors had prepared a proposal for and included cost estimates for replacement of the exterior finishing system for the front of our main building, along with the installation of new buildings throughout the main building. The proposal, representing a major capital project, remains under review at Pinnacle Corporate. You have heard some from Ann about the renovation committee, the resident renovation committee, and so I won't go into that too much, but I do want to say that emphasis has been on updating the appearance of these areas to appeal to the next generation of potential Cedarfield residents, mainly in the 65 to 75-year-old range. Once design work is finalized, the areas Ann mentioned, the committee will tackle the renovation of this room. Both projects are critical to improve the appearance of Cedarfield's exterior and interior spaces for marketing purposes. There is significant competition, as you well know, in the Richmond area for senior living facilities. So it is really important that our common areas look good and appeal to future residents. Also considered important is water on the lane. This apparently has been a problem for many years, and a retired engineer resident, our very own Frank Miller, is working with Lacey Salamone in hopes of resolving the problem soon. Finally, elevator maintenance and future annual contracts were considered important to committee members. According to Mr. Salamone, the current contract with TK Elevator Company is under review. Committee members recommended improvement in maintenance, response time, and repair of critical elevators. Additional agenda items were discussed at the meeting, but too numerous to report on today. Minutes of the meeting will cover all the agenda items and will be available to you soon. Thank you.
Any questions of Susan?
And
Yes.
Susan's Bailey with the traffic light that would be or can be installed when the streets are expanded on by Henrico County.
Sally Wood was asking if we could speak to the traffic light that we would love to see outside on Three Chop Road. Frank Miller looks like he has a piece of information, but I also know, and you have a piece of information, and also know that George Brown stopped me on the way up here saying that a man wants to come and talk with us about that sometime soon, and we'll coordinate that through the executive director's office. Frank and Barbara, how about getting a mic? I saw our Board of Supervisors, Tommy Brennan, at another meeting. He said that they have a plan and that he would love and come talk to us for a temporary fix while it's doing it, so we don't have to wait all that time for the permanent fix. So he would love to come and speak as soon as whoever wants to invites him. I haven't set that up yet. Thanks, Alan, and thanks, Barbara, for the response. I had asked Frank about that lately because I knew he had talked to Brandon as well. Any other questions of Susan or anything about the facilities? Finance, Carol Margo.
The Finance Committee met on April 25th, and we discussed the third quarter of the fiscal year for Pinnacle Living Obligated Group. David Taylor reviewed the Cedarfield Statement of Activities and compared actual year-to-date with budget year-to-date. The major reason for the differences between the actual and the budget were salaries and benefit increases, dining cost, and utility increases. As the third quarter, as of this time, the costs are running about 6% above budget. It's been a problem all year, and predictions that it will create budget overruns by the end of the fiscal year for approximately 8 to 10%. You've just heard about the town meeting that Jeff related to. That's going to be budget and capital plan. There's a capital budget for 5 years, and so you'll hear that as well as the budget for the upcoming year and the rate. There was some other information that we found interesting. Cedarfield has made bond payments this year in the amount of $2.1 million. Your interest payments of $3.7 million show up on that statement of activities that we add to the minutes every quarter, but the bond payments do not. Pinnacle also has an asset on its book for debt service reserve fund of $7.2 million. So they are saving money to help pay for these principal payments that will be coming due they started back when we started the expansion, and it will continue till 2052. The purchase of property and equipment for Cedar Field expansion this year has been $5.2 million. And the final note, Cedar Field Samaritan Fund balance is $1.5 million. I want that to be $5 million, because that's the fund that helps residents if they get in a financial problem. So that's the goal. I want you to set that one. We will attach Cedar Field statement of activities to your minutes, and I look forward to seeing everybody on May 1st. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Is anybody on your committee looking at the non-disclosure statements that are filed usually around September and maybe presenting something back to?
Say that again, what is part of the statements?
Not non-disclosure, the disclosure statement, excuse me, wrong name. The disclosure statement that they send to the SEC every.
Around September, they send a draft disclosure statement to the SEC, and I wondered if anyone in your committee looks at that and might consider looking at it and reporting back.
I have not seen anything other than the quarterly statements, the bond statements.
No, this is the disclosure statement to the SEC. Well, we'll talk about it. It's just there's a draft that they file around September, and then they give it to us or put it in our library, and then the SEC reviews it.
No, we have not been given it nor have reviewed it. We'll take a look at it. It's in the library?
Yes.
Okay.
It's yearly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Carol, but I didn't understand. What is the $5.2 million?
That was the purchase of property and equipment for Cedar Field expansion this year. So that's what we have paid this budget year for capital, and it was related to the expansion of Cedar Field.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hang on. And be sure.
So you're saying we purchased more property this last year? Or is this?
Property includes furniture, fixtures, anything like that. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Sally Sessoms with Gardening Committee.
Can you hear me? Okay. I want to again remind everyone of Garden Day in May, which is Thursday, May 4th. Please read the beautiful cover page of The Informer, which has just come out and has an excellent description of the tour in tea. On May 1st, you will receive a brochure with more detailed information of the tour and the gardens. Please bring the brochure on the tour for the descriptions of each of the garden areas. We hope to see you on the tour, and most importantly, enjoy the day and the fellowship. Thank you.
Wellness and Leisure, Barbara.
Just a few things to highlight. We met on the 18th of April. We discussed new ideas. Part of what we're supposed to do is give the staff and team members ideas for new programs and also for feedback on current programs. And one thing I wanted to share with you on that was Marta Giannoni wanted to know if we could get a bus to the Pops, Symphony Pops, and they have to have X number. So if anyone is interested in Symphony Pops, you could talk to Marta or you could talk to Katrin, and then there could be a bus to those events. And then resident-run clubs came up because we're currently updating. There is a booklet, and as someone on the committee said, well, nobody she talks to knows that this booklet exists. Well, it does. It was updated in 2022. It was handed out at the showcase that the Pathways to Wellness did. But we want to, because of that comment, we are going to update it for the orientation of new members. That's going to be sometime in June. But the committee's suggestion is that we give one copy to everybody in independent living and assisted living. So these are clubs that residents run, the location, and the approximate or the time that they meet or other ways. And that the leaders of those are in the back of the resident directory, so those are updated quarterly. The walking club is back in action 9:30 Tuesday morning, so I invite you all to get a little more exercise in this good weather time and join in. They meet at 9:30 at the end of the awning at the back of assisted living. Alice Carpenter reported that classes in the pool and in the exercise room are being well attended, and also that they've been doing a lot of resident updating and help with use of the equipment in what I call the gym. And then pickleball, I would say, has ramped up. We were drafting rules for the court and signage from the court, and that was discussed at the meeting. And then later meeting, it was again discussed with the pickleball players. So be looking for some signage, probably not till July, on the pickleball courts to help make it the use go smoothly. As far as programs, I just highlight a couple: the James Madison Montpelier trip and Market Garden trip, and all of these are in your informer. So I'm just gonna say a couple of them. The Avatar 1 and 2 movies that's in your informer. And this is something that I know a lot of you may be interested in. The first 4 Tuesdays in May, there will be a small group iPhone training that you can sign up for. So if you wanted some help with your iPhones, it's finally here this coming month, May. On sports, we still will have the TV going for golf, both men and women, and tennis will come up soon. But we will be having a Kentucky Derby party. That's Saturday, May 6th, 5:30, and John Ferris, along with Steve in dining, have come up with a great menu, and wine, beer, and mint juleps with fresh mint will be available. And Memorial Day, that's the end of May, that's the 29th, Monday at 10 a.m. Often you'll think about 11, but it's going to be at 10 a.m. And the Henrico Concert Band will be back with us for a wonderful program. And beside that, there'll be special recognition of Cedarfield veterans that have passed away in the last year.
And one other veterans thing, there will be a veterans benefits lecture set for June 5th, and including Q's and A's, and we think that'll be a very useful program, so I just wanted to highlight that. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Barbara. After this meeting, we're not over yet, but after this meeting, there will be a program on, so you've gone to the hospital and are coming back to Cedar Field, put on by the Health Services Committee at 3:30, so I hope a lot of you will stay for that. Sylvia Fine, Area 7-8 is the first area I have for a report.
I have one.
Oh, sorry, didn't know Don McCoskey had one. Area 2, please come right up. Is there anybody between 2 and 7 and 8? Just let me know.
Several of the residents of Area 2 have responded to Ann Williams's questions, finally, when I got them out. Food service gets high praise, including, as one resident said, the menus, food rep teams, the serving staff, and especially the quality of the food provided. One resident thinks we need to know other people around Cedar Field better, and the team members too. Perhaps more emphasis on wearing name tags at events. I'm going to try for a meeting of Area 2 residents and a team leader of their choice. I'm not being heard? Okay, I'll get closer. One resident at least supports the move to get resident representation on the Pinnacle board. I don't know if this has been accomplished because the sound system seems pretty good today, but one resident with hearing difficulties wishes very much, and put this in title caps, that the sound system issue would be taken seriously. And she said, Richmond's Stables Mills Public Library has excellent sound engineering, and we might ask what they propose. There are eyesores that need correcting. Mailbox posts on our court that need cleaning or painting or straightening up. Broken or missing signs around the entrance area. And finally, I'm just going to ask our residents the residents of Area 2, how we can develop it into a more neighborly place. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Carol, Area 3. And area reps and committee chairs, be sure for the next meeting you let us know if you have a report you want to give, that we know who's coming.
I would just like to report that Area 3 had a wonderful party on April 19th. There were about 23 people present. We had gorgeous weather, and Katrin and James did a beautiful job of decorating the clubhouse. And Steve and his dining team did an awesome job for our cookout, our resident cooks, and with hot dogs and hamburgers, and we had an overall wonderful picnic. I'd also like to report that we've had 3 ideas that have turned into Ann that I have been presented to the grant committee. Thank you.
Area 7-8, Sylvia.
Good afternoon, everybody. Area 7 and 8 welcome the new spring season with something we call the Spring Supper. It was attended by more than 30 residents. Jeff Hagan was our guest speaker, answering questions and bringing us up to date on what's down the road at Cedar Field. Ann Williams gave us an overview of the innovation program, and Area 8 welcomed a new resident this month, but not new to Cedar Field. Marta Giannoni has come to Area 8. Welcome, Marta, to the big house. And we, 7 and 8, hope to carry on this idea of joint activities. The more the merrier, I think.
Thanks, Sylvia, and I love that it's areas 7 and 8 because I'm in area 7, so I'm getting to know more people in area 8. Rosie Whitehorn, area something. 9.
Area 9 met on April 15th to talk about the Innovation Fund. We had 5 good suggestions, but only 1 received unanimous support. Now, our meeting happened after the first information came out, but before the second information came out, which was more detailed in terms of what was allowed and prices and all that. Unfortunately, the one thing that got the most support was upgrading or enhancing actually the audio, visual, broadcasting, and room darkening possibilities for this room. I think we are reminded of it every time we come in here. As Jeff talked about some time back, it's going to require some big bucks, and we were wondering why money could not be used from the Innovation Fund to help enhance those systems. We would not see it, the money is taking the place of the dollars allotted for the renovation, but it would be used to enhance the system so we have something that really works, and it would affect everybody in this building, staff, all levels of care. So I guess my question is, would that ever be a consideration where we could use that money, or at least a good part of it for that?
We look at it as a potential, but we're looking at the $110,000 that's for the Innovation Fund. We're trying to take that money and touch as many different projects as we can. So we're actually looking at doing a capital campaign outside of the Innovation Fund to look at raising monies for the audiovisual system. We actually had a meeting this morning talking about the system for this room, and it's going to be pretty spectacular when it's installed. But we wanted to keep the Innovation Funds more for small projects that would touch more departments and more residents and staff to do that. But if we end up with money left in that fund, we may throw it towards the AV system too. So.
Thanks, Jeff. Robin, did you want to make a report? I know you submitted a written report. No. Any other reports from areas? Carla. Area 11.
The residents of Area 11 met on April the 14th in the Atrium Cafe for breakfast. There was a good turnout, and we discussed the recent Cedarfield Innovation Fund grant proposals. And Jeff Hagan was in the Atrium Cafe on that morning, and we asked him to join us for discussion, and he answered many of our questions. We also, the majority, I think, wanted money for this improved audio-visual service in the Fellowship Hall and on 971. So we would vote for that if it could be done. We thank Jeff for helping us understand the future plans for Cedarfield. We also discussed several projects such as the Verizon cell tower and solar panels on the roof. But that was looked into, and we later discovered that these do not meet the eligibility guidelines for the Innovation Fund grants. One happy note for us, we had concerns about the dirty carpets in our halls in our area. And we're so happy that they have started cleaning the carpets again. And we thank you, Raymond, the guy who does it on our hall. We will continue looking for suitable projects for the Innovation Fund when we meet in May. Thank you.
there any other, Linda, another area report from Area 20?
Yes, Area 20 welcomed 3 new residents in March. I wasn't here to report. Excuse me?
The other
I thought I had a loud enough mouth for that. We welcomed 3 area new residents in March: Barbara Richardson, Janet Goyne, and Bob Rogers. We had a welcome dinner for them on March 28th, and the dining room prepared a delicious and beautiful welcome cake for them. And we continue to reach out to our new residents in an effort to assure they are welcomed and to further orient them. All residents in Area 20 were polled regarding preferred times for monthly dinner. And our first one will be April 28th, the end of this week. And the dining room now has a reservation for May 16th for the May dinner. A copy of the draft guidelines for the Innovation Fund grant proposals was distributed to everybody in every apartment, and we're going to discuss that a little bit at the dinner on Friday. Now that we have final guidelines, let's see. As the new area representative for Area 20, I may be biased, but I think we may be the best area in Cedarfield. And I want to extend much appreciation to Cynthia Seals. She was the area representative for the past 2 years and has helped me a lot getting started.
I'm sorry to tell you, Linda, but I live on the best hall in all of Cedarfield. Are there any other area reports? All right. One piece of news, although it's not much news, but to say that the group of 4 residents from Cedarfield that met with Pinnacle Living are waiting to hear when our next meeting will be. We have several dates on hold, and the dates are coming up soon, but we have not yet heard when we will be invited back to meet with some of the Pinnacle Living board members to talk about having a resident on the board. Is there any further business to come before this august body? I hereby declare it adjourned.